Everyone, this is Cyndia Muñiz. Welcome to the next episode of LatProXperience, where we talk about Latino success through the Latino lens. Today, we have a super duper special guest. Every time we have a special guest, but I don't think we've had, in fact, I know we have not had a more special guest as we do today. Today with us, is none other than la doctora Cyndia Morales Muñiz. And full disclosure, she's my beautiful and powerful wife as well. So welcome, Cyndia. Welcome to LatProXperience. It's so fun to have you here. We've been talking about doing this for a long time, and today is the day. So this is going to obviously be a different flavor for what we've been doing for the last 80 plus episodes. But I think it's timely. I think it's time to do this, and I'm looking forward to this. So obviously, I know you. Obviously, I know you more than most people know you. But not everyone knows you the way I do. So tell everyone who you are, where you come from, a little bit about your personal background.
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. So as my amazing husband just shared with you, my name is Dr. Cyndia Morales Muñiz. When I'm asked to introduce myself, I usually start by saying que soy la hija de Luisa y Ernesto, right? So I am Luisa and Ernesto's daughter. I am also a daughter of Puerto Rico, right? So very proud of my Puerto Rican culture, my Puerto Rican heritage. And I probably identify as a Brooklyn Boricua because I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in Bed-Stuy to be exact. And if you know, you know. That's, come from very humble beginnings, very proud of the grit, the resilience of my parents who left everything that they knew and loved in Puerto Rico in the 50s. Right, made their way to New York, right? Like the story of many of us is to, better way of life, better opportunities. And so my mother worked as a seamstress, made $1.25 an hour. My father as a landscaper, made a little bit more, not much. And so, those were the opportunities that were afforded to them. My mom could only go to school until fourth grade. My father, went through the seventh grade. So made their way to New York City for a better life for them and their children. And I'm very grateful for all the lessons that they've taught me, because I tell folks all the time that, my parents have taught me things that you can never learn in a book. And so I start there because that's how I ground myself, and really leads into everything that I do today, right, is to honor that sacrifice. So my story, born and raised in Brooklyn, there were interesting times, right? So growing up in the 90s, it was the hood, right? It was challenging times in Brooklyn, but I was always very steadfast in my studies. I was focused. I was always a great student. I was the student that prided myself in all the certificates and doing well in school. Fast forward to high school, everyone's talking about Binghamton University. And I'm like, what's that? That's where I'm going, and made my way upstate to New York for college. I was a first generation in college student because, as I shared, my parents didn't have the opportunity to go to college. So it was up to me to figure out my way. I had great mentors along the way who, just supported me, gave me resources. I took full advantage of college, pledged a sorority. I was a resident assistant. I studied abroad to Spain, Portugal, and France. And so I just asked a lot of questions. And I was very persistent about making sure that I had the information that I needed to be successful. Let me be brief. I can go on and on about this, but from there, that took me to St. John's to work on my master's. And then at that point, I was really done with the snow and the train in New York. So I made my way to Florida, to Orlando, because I had some family here, and I appreciate flip-flops in December. Got my doctorate here at the University of Central Florida, earned my doctorate at the University of Central Florida. And then I'll stop there because I know that the conversation will take us to kind of what I'm doing now or where I've been.
Well, that's a great. I mean, it's an amazing story, and in full transparency, that's one of the first things that attracted me to you, to reach out to you, because when I first met you, I met you in a professional setting, and you shared part of that story, and that captured my attention. So here we go. The rest is history, right? But the things that I've learned since then is that you're very driven. You had a drive for more. Perhaps early on, it sounded to me that you were not completely clear of what that more was going to look like because you didn't have any examples around you, perhaps early on. But as you continue to evolve through your scholastic career, going through school and then going to college and going away to college, which is a big deal, that horizon starts expanding and it starts getting defined. So you go through that, right? You're in an environment that many other people wouldn't have excelled like you have excelled. Went to school, got to Binghamton, go to St. John's, get to the University of Central Florida to earn perfectly defined, earned, because nobody gets a doctoral degree. And so you become a doctor. You become a doctor. So what let you? Why? First of all, why did you decide that was the path that you were going to take? Why do you want to get a doctorate?
I reflect on this often. I reflect on this often because people ask just that, right? They ask, what led to that? And quite frankly, from a very early on, I always ask myself, what's next, right? So for me, it's like, what's next? Where do I go from here? I wanted to do the most that I could. I wanted to go as high as I could because I know that my parents sacrificed a lot for us. And so, and for me in particular, as the baby, the last child, right? They were in Puerto Rico and they made the move to go back to New York. So it was a bit of a back and forth situation for a little bit with my older siblings, like is the case with many Puerto Ricans, ¿verdad?
Sure.
Right, but ultimately, when I came along, I was a surprise baby, and they ultimately made the decision to be in New York because that's what they felt was best for me in my educational future. So it's like I had to honor that, and I wanted to. It wasn't a pressure like they were pressuring me. It was I wanted to do it for them because I saw their experience, and I saw a few things that I didn't like. I saw how they were treated because of who they were and what they looked like. And so for me, early on, I was like, "Oh no, that I'm gonna make this happen because they matter. Their story matters, and they will be seen and they will be respected." So, and now they proudly say that their daughter is a doctor, mi hija es doctora, right? And so they should be proud of themselves for several reasons, and I am certainly proud of them for several reasons. I'm glad that I was able to add this right to their list, and that they know in their hearts and in their minds that it was worth it because it's not easy, right? You come to a place where you don't know anyone, you don't know the lay of the land, you don't know the language, you don't have a formal educational background. And so for many of us in our community, they feel invisible.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want them to feel that way. And so this is one way that I was able to, darle esa importancia that they so well deserved and they earned.
Yeah. That's a strong enough purpose to do what you do, because what you have done to date is nothing short of remarkable. Just going through that process and becoming a doctor. So now you earned your degree, right? Your doctoral degree. What kept you in Florida? You came here because it was nice. It was nice. Yes. It's nice weather, right? And you were looking for a good opportunity. It's a good program at UCF. You can't say there wasn't a good program, right? It's not all about the weather. And here you are many years later.
That's still. Right. That's right. That's right. So I chuckle, I laugh when you say what kept me in Florida, right? Well, you're a part of that, right? But whoa.
It's more like who, right?
Right. So what really, just interestingly enough, right? You're young and you have the whole, your whole life ahead of you, and you want to be on your own and independent and have your own space. And so that was also part of that. Done with the snow and the train, I also wanted my own space. I could not afford that in New York City, and so because I had some family connections, and I knew that UCF was a good place, that there were opportunities, and that they had great programs. To your point, I said this sounds like a good place for me to be. And I was working through my doctoral degree, my doctoral program, and then at that point, once I was about 5 or 6 months away from graduating, from completing my program, at that point I was homesick. I mean, I was pretty homesick for Brooklyn along the way, but it was a good place to be. And so at that point, I said I had every intention of actually returning to New York, but I stayed because I got a job. I got a job at UCF. I wasn't looking for a job. The job found me. And someone reached out and said, "Hey, are you aware of this opportunity? It's an assistant director position in multicultural support services for students. You'd be great, given your experience. We've seen you present before, and so you should look into it. You should try." I said, "Okay, sure, sounds cool." So I applied for it, and really, again, I was, every plan of going back to New York, and I was like, well, if I get it, great, and if I don't, I'm going home, right? That's fine. So they offer me the job, the position. I start off. I thought it was a great opportunity to get my foot in the door, and did well. And I want to say about a year later or so that I'm giving a presentation at UCF, and it was a Puerto Rican leadership summit that was open to the public. And then that's where a certain gentleman approached me after my presentation, and thanked me, right, for sharing my story, and then asked, let's or suggested, right, that we stay in touch to collaborate. And so here we are collaborating. Right. So ultimately, I got a job, I got a husband, so I stayed. Yeah.
What else is there?
Yeah.
So stop the madness, right?
Yeah.
So you're thriving at UCF. You got a new job. You met this amazing guy, and things are going well. So how long have you been at UCF as a professional?
So as a professional, it's been 12 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 12 years.
Okay.
Actually, 12 years this month. Yeah.
How about that? 12 years as a pro, and then how many years during your program, the doctoral program?
And so 2008. So since 2008.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
So 16 years?
16 years.
Did I do this right? Yeah, 16 years.
So yeah.
So you're as Floridian as most people, because most people in Florida are not from Florida.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. I know why you hesitated.
Yes. Yeah. No. Proud New Yorker always. True.
Exactly. No one else on the planet has that reaction.
No.
Not a New Yorker.
However, no. But very, very happy to be here, and very grateful for the opportunities that Florida has afforded me. Yeah.
100%. Same here. I'm not from here either, in case you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But so a long time at UCF. And so tell me about your progression. You started at that with Multicultural Student Center, and what happens next?
Yeah, so I started off in that office supporting first generation and college students. So for those who may not be aware, first generation college students, like I mentioned before, are students who their parents have not achieved the bachelor's degree, have not earned the bachelor's degree. And so, right, that's a different experience. That's a different experience for students. When your parents didn't go to college, then it's up to you to kind of figure out, find your community, find the answers to your questions, whatever resources will help you be successful. So I started off doing a lot of programs for students and advising for students that were first generation in college, and then also multicultural students as well. And so that I did 5 years there, and that's what's called student affairs in the university setting, because it's a lot of direct one-to-one student contact and programs for students. From there, I moved into what at the time was the diversity and inclusion office. And then I did some professional development workshops for faculty and staff, and some leadership workshops. And so I was able to do that. And then that's really where I started to carve out more of a focus, right, on Hispanic initiatives, right, like and Hispanic workshops or serving Hispanic students, and so moved in there and did a few years there, and then came this opportunity where I made the case for a position that focused on UCF as a Hispanic serving institution. So I want to say that was 2017 when we started having those conversations about a position that will focus on this federal designation. A lot of people may not be aware that UCF is federally recognized as a Hispanic serving institution. What does that mean? Right, there are three ways, right? Three elements of that formula, but I'm going to keep it very simple.
Okay.
Right. The biggest piece of that is that your undergraduate student body, so undergraduate being our students who are working towards a bachelor's degree, that 25% or more of your overall undergraduate student body identifies as Hispanic or Latino. Okay. And so that has been the case for UCF for several years now. We were first federally recognized as a Hispanic serving institution, or an HSI, in 2019. And fast forward to today in 2024, you know, over 31% of our undergraduate students that are working towards a bachelor's degree identify as Hispanic or Latino students. That's almost 19,000. Almost 19,000 students at UCF currently working on a bachelor's degree. Wow. And then over a little 21,000 who are, you know, once we include our master's, doctoral students, our medical students, etc. So
let me just kind of a point of reference. Yeah. 21,000 students that identify themselves as Latino, Latina at UCF. I went to a whole university that had 25,000 students. Oh, yeah. So that's like a university inside of a university. Is that, you know, just to give people scale? You know?
Yes. Oh, yes. We are one of the largest, right? We are one of the largest universities in the country by enrollment, and especially when it comes to our Latino students, right? We do have a very, very sizable Hispanic Latino population.
Wow, that's sizable. Amazing. So sorry to interrupt. Continue.
No worries. So that is where, so we learned a lot. I mean, I learned about Hispanic serving institutions as a graduate student when I was working on my doctoral degree. That's where I came across this concept of Hispanic serving institutions, and I wanted to learn more. And so then I started having conversations with colleagues about, you know, there should really, you know, our student population continues to grow, right? The Latino community continues to grow because it's reflecting our region. And if you pay attention to, right, to our region and the growth that the region is experiencing when it comes to the Latino student or the Latino population, then we will eventually see that, right, in our college student population. If you pay attention to K through 12 pipeline, like, you know, it's growing, right, at that level. And so eventually they make their way to the university. So I was like, is anyone paying attention to this? Is anyone, you know, what are we going to do about this? Like, what's the plan? You know, and I was like, okay, well, if there's no plan, then let's come up with a plan, right? So very fortunate for wonderful colleagues and leadership that really supported this notion that we should have someone paying attention to this and working on this and defining what's the plan, what's our strategy, because guess what? There's funding that is attached to this. There are dollars attached to this. And for me, it was very important, and my colleagues, it was very important that whatever funding, it's not automatic funding. It's funding that you have to apply for, you have to compete for it. But at the same time, if you're going to go for it, then we should go for those funds for the right reasons, and we should stay authentic and true to the purpose of those funds. And so that was really core. That was really core to those original conversations. So eventually I do become, right, the director, the inaugural director for Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives and Partnerships. And I'm really able to lead the way, right? Lead the way with the kind of HSI that we want to be. Because that's how I would start off those conversations, right? Currently right now, there are 600 Hispanic serving institutions in the country. I'm sure a lot of people are like, what? Really? I had no idea.
Watch me. What? Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Across the country. And in the state of Florida, there are 30, right? UCF is one, Valencia College, of course, right? And so on and so forth, Miami-Dade College, even Seminole State. So there are 30 Hispanic serving institutions in the country. I'm sorry, in the state of Florida, 600 across the country. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we all take the same approach to the type of HSI that we want to be. I'm very proud of the work that we've done at UCF as a collective, and really wanting to do the work the right way and applying meaning and not just focused on the numbers and enrolling, but the kind of experience that we want our students to have. And for them to understand that our Latino students, they represent critical mass. And we cannot achieve our institutional goals without the success of our Latino students.
Yeah.
And so that is very at the forefront of everything that we do. Of course, we want all of our nights to be successful. And as we look at the economic development goals of the state, right? Like when it comes to talent and leadership, and then this is a core piece of that. So a lot about HSIs, but that was the kind of the start of the role. I now serve as senior director for Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives and oversee a number of grant programs that, including Potencial and Enfermería, that are really significant contributions to our efforts.
And it's a lot of information for someone who's just hearing it for the first time. But it's if you really slow it down a little bit, and go through that information, like, wow, why does that matter to me? Why does that matter to me? I'm not at UCF. I'm not a student anywhere.
Yeah.
Why do I care? And I'm going to give you my perspective, because you said a lot of things that are, obviously I've heard this before, right? We talk about this all the time, but you said a lot of things that are worth highlighting once again. Number one, you said that, you have institutional goals as an organization, as a university. And because the Latino population is so not only young, but growing and numerous, there's a lot more Latinos growing faster, and as a segment of the population, not only inside of UCF, but outside, UCF, the region. Honestly, no one can achieve their institutional or regional goals if we don't make sure that the Latino community succeeds, or that we have the same opportunity to succeed. So it's not gaming the game, right? It's not mucking it up. It's just making sure that everyone have equal access to the same opportunities. So when I first heard about HSI, I didn't know what it was. I started getting definitions of what it was, but I still didn't understand what it meant for me. And as I learned through the years, through your leadership in the office that you lead, and the programming that you do, and just hearing you speak over and over again, it's, I take it to my world, the entrepreneurial world. I take it to the economics aspect of the work that you do and the work that UCF does. And there's 31.5 million small businesses in America. There's over 6 million get launched every year. New ones get launched every year. And I will tell you that 42% are launched by Latinas. So there's a whole lot of people, a whole lot of Latinas launching new businesses in the U.S. every year. And we are all better off as a country, as an economy, if those Latinas and Latinos are better prepared when they go through a program like UCF, and they have the right opportunities early on. They get the right knowledge early on. They get the right resources or access to the resources sooner rather than later. because that's going to have a very direct economic impact in all of our lives. So that became very important to me too. And just kind of a sidebar, it took us 13 years to collaborate, and we're finally collaborating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told you what happened, and here we are.
You didn't lie. You didn't lie.
I did not lie. I do not lie, and I did not lie. So okay. So here we are. You're a senior director of Hispanic Serving Institution. Tell me the rest of it.
So yes, Hispanic Serving Institution initiatives and partnerships.
Right. And currently you're working on two programs that are funded by the federal government, right? Now, this is not free money, and you said that already. You get to compete for these funds, and you have to make the case that these funds are better utilized with you and UCF than anywhere else in the country, because you're competing for these funds. So you're running two of these programs right now. You mentioned one is Potencial, one is Enfermería. Why is that important? Why are those programs important?
So I'll get to so Potencial and Enfermería, and I want to also circle back on why this is important, right? To why this may be important to others. I mean, and it may not. UCF being a Hispanic serving institution may not have a direct impact on you today, right? But you know, many of us have children, nieces, nephews, right, and or even friends, right, that will continue to lead the way, whether it's here in the state of Florida or elsewhere, right? And so these resources that best prepare our Latino students to go out into the world and do big things, we all benefit from that. So I just wanted to add that, and I'm sure that other thoughts will come to mind. And I think this also kind of lends itself, you know, nicely to Potencial and Enfermería. So Potencial and Enfermería, these are two major initiatives. We have a number of initiatives in our office. These are two of the bigger grants that we have in our office. Potencial really has a focus on increasing, well, you know, twofold. So really strengthening graduation rates. So we want our Hispanic Latino students to graduate in a timely fashion. So if you start off, you know, as a freshman, then we want to do everything possible to help you graduate in 4 years. Okay. And if you come to us from Valencia or any of our other, you know, partner institutions or Seminole as a transfer student, then we want to help you graduate in 2 years. You know, why is that important? Because that also, you know, not only, well, from a financial standpoint, right? Let's go there.
Sure.
Right? It is a benefit for our students to graduate on time. And minimizes, right, or, you know, decreases the likelihood of graduating with debt, right? And so, you know, the quicker that you graduate, you will find yourself in a better position to, you know, to find a good job and help you not, you know, minimize minimize debt. But at the same time, we also want to make sure that we're providing all of the experiences, that full college experience, right? That you could only get in college, right? It's like take advantage, have fun. You know, there are certain things that you can, you know, only do in college, and then, you know, and then you got to go on and things get even more serious, right? Things get even more serious. So for Potencial, we want to help students graduate faster, but we also, right, or on time, I should say. And we also want to ensure that from the Potencial standpoint, that we have more Hispanic Latino students and students across the board, right? Really taking advantage of what is called high impact practices. And high impact practices, there are several of these that basically have been, you know, there is evidence that these, if students that are engaged in these kind of activities and these kind of exercises do well, right? They do well. They graduate on time, and when they graduate with a job. And so some examples of high impact practices are things like undergraduate research and internships, right? And so, you know, when it comes to internships, I know that that's super relevant, right, for your audience, right, as business owners. And many of you, I'm sure, employ or would like to employ, right, our students at UCF in various internships or once they graduate in full-time positions. And so we have funding that is available for nonprofits, for small businesses. We do have funding that's available to support students so that they can go on and pursue those internships, because sometimes there are a lot of internship opportunities that are not funded.
Yeah.
And so while students would love to take advantage of those opportunities, they simply can't, right? Because they need some funds in their pocket so that they can pay their bills and get their books, etc. So really is graduating on time, participating in a high impact practice, whether that's undergraduate research, internships, or anything else. Study abroad is another one. And then sense of belonging. We have a Conexiones program that is geared towards transfer students, and it just has that Latino lens. It has that Latino feel to the program. Every student is welcome. And I love to see when our Latino students come with their friends of all backgrounds, and they're like, yes, we are here for it. We are all about comunidad, and they want to learn Spanish, and it's a beautiful thing to see. So Conexiones is a part of that. And we have a speaker series that is called a Latinx Professional Speaker Series, where we have UCF alumni who come and share their story. They share their story. They share what they're doing now, advice, and all of that. So that's Potencial, and I can go on and on, but I'll shift to Enfermería. Enfermería has a graduate student focus. So what we were able to do in collaboration with our College of Nursing, our College of Health Professions and Sciences, and College of Graduate Studies, along with our Office of HSI Initiatives as the lead, was launched this graduate certificate program on Hispanic serving healthcare professionals. And the purpose of that graduate certificate program is twofold. One, we want to see more Hispanic Latinos in nursing, and in particular in graduate nursing programs, right? So we recognize, and we have been told, right, like this, we're not making this up. Like we get this information all the time from healthcare providers. They're like, we really need help. We really need to strengthen representation. We really need more professionals that understand how to provide culturally congruent care to Hispanic Latino communities. Because that is who we serve. Like that is a big portion of who we serve in the Central Florida region and the state of Florida in general. So this graduate certificate program does that, right? It's hopefully by us offering this Hispanic serving healthcare professionals graduate certificate program, we get the attention of more Hispanic Latinos. We attract more, but also we equip graduate nursing students of all backgrounds to provide culturally congruent care to our communities. So, with everything that we do, everyone is welcome, and we want everyone to learn about how to work with and how to support, right, Latino communities. And in this case, it's through a healthcare lens.
Right.
So those are some snapshots. I'll pause.
I mean, so many thoughts come through my mind because, do you have a sense of overall, you don't have to give me an exact number, but a sense of percentage of UCF graduates that stay in Florida or Central Florida after graduation? Is it a lot? Is it a little?
It's a lot. No, it's a lot. I did have that number in my head at one point. Unfortunately, I don't have it right now. But no, it's I want to say well over half.
Okay.
Well over half of our graduates stay in the state of Florida.
That's important to know, right? Because not only is it a large university graduating a lot of people a year, where a large percentage are Latino or identify themselves as Latino, Latina, right? And more than half stay in Florida, in a state that is 25% Latino. And in Central Florida is more than that. It's in the 30s, the percentage of the population that identifies as Latino, Latina. All these things matter because the end customer, let's talk about healthcare. the end customer, 1 out of 3 is going to be Latino or Latina. And they're looking for culturally competent care. It doesn't always mean that they need to be served by a Latino or Latina healthcare professional. However, it is very valuable in the marketplace where the person who's providing the services is competent, is culturally competent. Beyond the technical competency, they are also culturally competent. That matters to me. And I think there's a lot of people who that matters to as well. And we don't talk about it enough, because I think that when someone who's not used to these kind of conversations, they hear for the first time, well, I'm not Latino, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not a student, that doesn't apply to me. Why do I care about this? Well, this is another example of why it matters. It touches all of us. And the better prepared these students are, or these professionals are in the case of the graduate program, the better off we're all going to be, all of us in the community. So, and one last thing I want to say about that before I forget, I'm a little, I'm all over the place now, but think about this. This is a state university, University of Central Florida, state university receiving federal funds. This is not a gimme. This is not something that is supposed to happen. So you compete for the funds. Somebody's going to get them, by the way. The federal government is really good at spending. So somebody's going to get it. Might as well be us, right? Might as well be us and put that money to great use. So congratulations on the success of the program so far. Is this, how long is these programs going to last? Is this forever?
So we awarded, not forever. It would be great, right, for us to continue to get these, and we'll continue to pursue, right, and apply for the funds. But both of these grants were awarded in 2022. They're 5-year grants, totaling $5.7 million, and it runs through 2027. So we might be able to get an extension year, but along the way, we will continue to apply for these funds. And the importance, I guess, of these funds is that these, and I want to be, really, really clear about that, because, or the purpose, right? These are institutional capacity building grants. And so they serve a very specific purpose, right? That are tied to the goals of each project. And so it's, I just want to share that, right? Because it's, there's so much need. There is so much need and so many wonderful things that we want to do. We do have to stick to the goals that are outlined in each one of those proposals, but they're meant to be university-wide, right? They're meant to be university-wide. And I say that because, in some cases we can provide student support, right? And others we can't. But it's all important stuff that strengthens UCF's ability to provide, a stronger experience, academic experience for our Hispanic, Latino, and all of our students.
Well said. Well said. I mean, some people think of grants and scholarships. They immediately think scholarships. There's money to fund books, tuition, fees. Not always. That's important, but it's not the only thing that's important. So that's why these programs exist. So let me just kind of try to summarize what we talked so far.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. I got to say one more thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So with Potencial, I also want to highlight, right, that a core piece of Potencial is faculty development. So we have a tailored series of workshops and professional development for our faculty, for our professors, because we want to help them understand how to support, right, our Latino students. And so I just wanted to throw that in there, because when we talk about institutional capacity building, it's not only direct support to our students, but then how do we support our faculty to provide the best experience possible in the classroom, because that matters, right? Our professors spend the most amount of time with our students, and so we need them to be well equipped. So I just wanted to add that, because that's a really important piece for us. Makes
a lot of sense, and a lot of us that are not in your space would not even think about that. at least not a first instance, right? The importance of funding those opportunities as well to strengthen the faculty that do the heavy lifting when it comes to engaging students and making sure they succeed. So this is what we talked about. So this is what we talked about. Talked about where you came from. We talked about your your academic preparation. We talked about the opportunity, the door of opportunity that opened at UCF upon graduation, and how that has blossomed into a pretty high impact career so far in a relatively short period of time. So this is why we have these conversations, is to highlight Latino success, to highlight success through the Latino lens. Most of the time we do it through entrepreneurship success or entrepreneurial success. In this case today, we're talking about professional success because it has a direct impact on our local economy and on national economy as well. It doesn't stay exclusively in Florida or Central Florida. So that we got to highlight that too, because not everyone's cut out or has the desire to launch their own idea and commercialize their own idea. Professionals, we need to highlight the success of professionals, Latino professionals, Latina professionals in the U.S. So